the time has arrived for me to talk about the best albums of the year, saying that I'm going to cover the albums that I enjoyed, and prepare yourselves, there is a big surprise in terms of what I chose. So let's kick off this episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Welcome to SEIYUU Lounge, I'm your host Vanessa, and in this episode let's talk about the best albums released in 2025 by male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups. So, in number 7 we have Tetsuya Kakihara with Aitai. I enjoyed this album a lot, although I feel that something was missing there, because while I reviewed it fairly high, something was missing there by the end of it all. So when you do an average of the numbers, you think, well, this is ranked super high, but that's within the album. If I'm going to compare this album or the songs face to face against other songs that he released in the past, I feel there are CDs that have songs that are more up to my taste, although in this release he actually showcased a lot of his vocal range and how much he has improved, so that's always a treat for me, and that's something that really weighs a lot when I'm thinking about, okay, what did I enjoy about this CD? Which was the thing that I would say would set this CD apart from all the others that is released? And usually when I come to the conclusion, it's always the same. The CD has better vocal performances than the previous one, and it's usually like that. Tetsuya Kakihara never fails in that regard, which is good, because you know that basically should anticipate the next CD, because you know that you are going to get really awesome performances that he keeps on improving time and time again. And in Aitai, he actually improved yet again. There are a couple of songs that I really enjoyed a whole lot. You can check the reviews, because they will start dropping on Christmas Day, and the first one is actually Tetsuya Kakihara with Aitai, so do look forward to that. There are tons of reviews that I have scheduled on the website that will start dropping on the 24th, so I hope that you guys enjoy, and the first one will be Tetsuya Kakihara, because I'm going to drop that on his birthday. So yeah, Aitai would be my number 7. My number 6 would be Shunichi Toki with Jumble. Now you will be thinking, but Vanessa, this is quite possibly his best CD to date. I digress if we think about the EPs in that regard. Because if we think about the EPs, Another Birthday is incredibly solid. But if we talk about only CDs, we are comparing Jumble to Good For. Good For has its highlights, which were amazing. From the retro 90s vibes to the hip-hop style music that he was bringing to that, also to the city pop that he had as well. He had tons of variety when it came to exploring retro sounds, and I enjoyed that a whole lot. But I felt that the album as a whole was not overly cohesive in terms of the consistency in between songs, as well as a whole. When you look at that, I think, yeah, the album is really good, but maybe I'm not going to replay all the songs. I'm just going to replay some. When we go to Jumble, although I feel that Jumble starts really poorly, it's not the strongest start to an album. Same thing that happened with Tetsuya Kakihara and Aitai. That's the reason why they are so low in this list. Still, it is a top 7, so they are the best of the year. And more than 10 albums were released, so it's not that bad. But I feel that he started really poorly, not with the same bang that he started with other albums. But once again, when you look at it as a whole, the album is fairly good in comparison with Good For. If you go individually, I feel that some songs in Good For are so good that no other song in Jumble actually topped it. But that's the beauty of reviewing music, because if you go song by song, the review would be completely different if we are comparing individual quality of the songs, especially when you compare it with the songs in Good For. But if you go as a whole, Jumble is much more cohesive, much more consistent in terms of the quality. Not to mention the fact that Shunichi Toki is singing with so much control and confidence that you cannot stop smiling as he's basically performing. But you also have the instrumentals. Now, instead of having too many music genres that he explored, he actually was more cohesive about that and explored just 2 or 3 variations of the same music genre, keeping things tight and cohesive, which is really good. So yeah, that's a much stronger album than Good For, but individually, Good For has some of the best, if not the best songs that Nichitoki has released so far, as well as Another Birthday also has amazing songs in there. But yeah, it is my 6th in the top. In 5th place, we have Daiki Yamashita and Tasuku Hatanaka with Share. This was one of the biggest surprises of the year for me, honestly. First of all, I was not expecting them to collab in an album. I thought that they were just collabing for a live show. Then I stopped reviewing music for a while, so I was not in the loop, and I didn't even know that this album was going to drop until the summer. And people were talking about that in the monthly review episodes, because other than that, I was not aware. So yeah, this was a big surprise, and when I listened to it recently and reviewed it, I found myself enjoying all the songs, which is something that for sure I would expect coming from Tasuku Hatanaka and Daiki Yamashita, together two of the best voices among male seiyuu, super technical tenors basically. Them together, they worked so well. It was a surprise at the same time that it wasn't a surprise. I was surprised to see them working so well together, but at the same time they have so much experience performing with other singers that it was to be expected that they would sound amazing together. They just have that experience of fitting almost instantly well with other singers, especially singers that are unbelievably good, which is the case for both of them. So Share is really awesome, super funky, a fun EP that I think left many of us wishing there is more to come from both. The two together actually did an amazing job, and I would love to see more love for them and about their music basically, because they really did an amazing job with Share. Then, in 4th place we have Serenity with Latitude. It is Serenity. Can I keep it short? To elaborate a little bit, the songs were amazing, plenty of rock music in there, a bit of a funky edge as always, because Satoru Kuwabara is usually the leading groovy guy for this band, with these bass lines being massive. They have a life of their own, but it was also good to see moments like in Home, in which the focus is on the vocals more so than on the instrumental itself, shifting a little bit the attention to the main characters or the protagonists in the story, or at least the storytellers for you, basically Yoshiki Nakajima and Yuichiro Uehara. They did an amazing job, they continue to improve together. Yuichiro Uehara is becoming really, really awesome as a singer, and it's unbelievable how much he has grown since he started working with Yoshiki Nakajima so closely with Serenity. That's insane. Having Satoru Kuwabara also helps a lot, because he's a producer, he's a music director, so he's really good at what he does, and he knows how to direct people towards sounding and being their best behind the microphone. Serenity's Latitude is one of the albums of the year for me, and one of the best rock albums of the year for 2D music projects and seiyuu artists, or among both. Then, and you can start acting shocked, but in 3rd place it is Soma Saito with Nuance. Yes, Nuance is not my album of the year. I was thinking it would be, but it isn't. I've talked extensively about this album. I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it. However, if it was more storytelling driven, this album would have shot to number 1. As it is super vague, and it is all about the little details, the album is a bit different to digest, and I feel that not having that continuum of a storyline going between songs actually breaks the immersion for me, because I'm expecting immersion when it comes to Soma Saito's music. I know that of course he does whatever he wants, and he has been doing really great music, although I feel that the bar was raised so high with Yin Yang that he may never, ever manage to reach the quality in Yin Yang and My Beautiful Valentine. I'm not even going to mention In Bloom. This is going to be really tough, because he peaked with My Beautiful Valentine. And after that, Yin Yang felt a bit shorter in terms of the quality in comparison with My Beautiful Valentine. It was still a terrific album. But Fictions was not that thing. Fictions was relatively okay, a solid album, but not remarkable. And Nuance was in the same vein, a solid album, but not remarkable. There are shades of greatness in there, with Rain Shoes, which is a song that could have been in Yin Yang, could have been in My Beautiful Valentine, because it is twisted, and the way that the song basically progresses will keep you on your toes. And there's Mayohiga, which is a song many of you would not be expecting, and it goes in the same lines as Palette, or in the same lines as Uzumibi, or even as Hayano. But other than that, the album is solid, but I don't think it is memorable. And when I think about album of the year, I'm thinking about an album that I will be talking about time and time and time again and recommending like crazy, as this is the album that you need to check to get into this artist. And I would not recommend Nuance as a CD for anyone but pop fans to get into Soma Saito's music. That's the same thing with Fictions. They are easy listening albums, but they are not on the Soma Saito quality that we expected, thanks to In Bloom, My Beautiful Valentine, and Yin Yang, the holy trilogy in Soma Saito's career, and honestly, I feel it will be really hard to top that. So that's a big reason why Nuance is not higher. The other reason is because the other two albums are super strong. So number 2 is Shoyo Chiba with Streak, for sure one of the highlights of the year. This much consistency by a SEIYUU artist with barely any experience as a solo artist is unbelievable. Although we know that Shoyo Chiba has been pretty active since 2020, basically being all over the place when it comes to 2D music projects, and being the face of many of those 2D music projects, he didn't have any kind of experience as a solo artist. He was performing other people's characters, he was not performing as himself. Although you can say you get a lot of experience by performing other characters, sometimes it's not the case. You sometimes need to learn some quirks and mistakes that characters do to fit the storytelling and to fit the character themselves. That's a big reason why, for example, in Killer King, I was not a big fan of his singing, exactly because he was not singing well, on purpose. But since then, things have changed in the franchise and he has started sounding better there, although it's not even close to the quality that he has, and we all know, in Streak. If you listen to the album, you will know what I'm talking about. This is an album full of highlights. Every single song in this CD is a highlight reel. This is unbelievable. The consistency, the quality, the confidence that he has when he's performing. It's crazy how Shoyo Chiba performed like a veteran, and that says a lot about his talent. So that's a thing that I see here, and I hope that this is right, that he will become one of the biggest talents among male SEIYUU artists in the future, because the talent is already there, he just needs more exposure, in my opinion. Other than that, he has the perfect music label to launch him, and he's doing music that he loves, which is mostly rock. Yeah, I was really worried about this CD, but the Streak is 99% a rock album, which is massive. I was not expecting King Records to actually let him do that, seeing as in other releases there was always 1 or 2 dance songs, or 1 peppy song and 1 dance song. Here it was kept to a bare minimum, and it was good. As a result, we got plenty of awesome rock songs to enjoy, really. And now, there's an artist that, of course, this year topped everyone. I was not expecting that to happen, honestly. I love him, but I was not expecting him to basically take the crown during the summer and not hand it over to anyone else since then. It is Makoto Furukawa with Catch Me If You Can. This is my album of the year, and well, in the next episode we are going to dive a little bit into that album because I want to dive into a bit more detail. But as it is, this is the album of the year for me. Honestly, I am not even going to contest this. The album is flawless from start to finish. I had never heard or listened to an album by Makoto Furukawa that was this consistent in my life. It is super consistent. I think that he really nailed it, and this new chapter is actually a pretty good one. I was not a big fan of those seasonal singles that he released, but as soon as we arrived to a conceptual EP or mini album, things changed and Makoto Furukawa actually delivered something really amazing. Wow. Yeah, Catch Me If You Can is my album of the year. We are going to talk about that extensively in the next episode. I'm going to keep these shorter here so that we can talk about it in the next episode, and for me to tell you why, yet again, that album topped every other. Keeping it short, basically the consistency. The vocals have improved to a level that is really hard to top. Because tell me, or at least count with your fingers, the number of baritone singers among male SEIYUU that can belt. Because Makoto Furukawa has joined that very exclusive list that has very few male SEIYUU artists in there. Makoto Furukawa has actually improved so much to the point that he has almost the skill set of Soma Saito in his own skill set. So he can do the high notes and the falsetto. He has improved a lot in that regard, but he can also have super control over his vibrato and go super low. That's the best of both worlds in the same performer. So yeah, we are going to dive a bit better into that album when we get to the next episode. So let's keep it short and go to the outro. It's really super hard to top Shoichibe and Makoto Furukawa this year. Honestly, super hard. Really good in terms of the quality in the music, but I still expected more artists to be active. I'm still waiting for Toshiki Masuda to release more music, so where is he? I don't know. Next year we are going to get Kentito, so I believe Kentito will be in the conversation for album of the year for sure. It has been clockwork when it comes to the quality, so I expect the year to start really well. So yeah, this year was okay in terms of the variety of CDs that we got. It was a year that I noticed that all artists focused a lot in improving their quality on the vocal end. Not necessarily doing crazy stuff that will make your jaw drop in awe, but to focus on improving the little details that make a performance super enjoyable. I'm really happy that I got to experience Makoto Furukawa's Catch Me If You Can, although I did that a bit later. I only listened to the album in August. Feel it was in August. But that album was unbelievably good. I know that I'm gushing and I melt with Usotogeko, and I have been doing that since the summer. There are so many good songs in that CD. Every single song is amazing. That's one of those albums that I can leave that playing in the background and I will never go to skip a song. Never. I feel that Catch Me If You Can, in comparison with all the albums in this list that I gave you, is the one in which the mood is consistent throughout. So there are no big dips in mood that will make me think, oh, this song, now I cannot hear this song because I don't want to feel that mood. When you listen to Catch Me If You Can, the mood is all the same. Super sexy and mature, and with a side of an emotional, dramatic twist. And I like that. That's super consistent in terms of the concept and the vibe. It matches super well with Makoto Furukawa's vocals, and as we can see, Catch Me If You Can is my album of the year, and we are going to talk about it extensively in the next episode. So I hope you guys are excited, or if you aren't, you can skip that episode and then dive into the next one. So yeah. Please let me know which were or was your album of the year and why. I'm accepting suggestions as well. If I have not listened to any of those CDs or have yet to review a specific CD, leave those in the comments. The next episode will be after Christmas, so I will be enjoying these and saying Merry Christmas to you if you celebrate it, and also Happy New Year if we don't see or hear each other until then. Thank you very much for watching this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one.